Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Tasty Trails Travel Pod. Today I'm excited to be joined by Michelin-Star chef Håkan Thörnström, and he is sharing the stories and insights that will seriously deepen your appreciation for Nordic cuisine and Swedish culture. We talk about Håkan's journey from growing up with homegrown vegetables and coastal seafood to running a Michelin-Star restaurant and cooking for the Nobel Prize dinner, not once, but twice. He shares how Swedish cuisine is all about clean, ingredient-forward dishes, seasonal produce, and simple elegance. We dive into smorgasbords, certainly I'm not pronouncing that correctly, and Midsummer, and my burning questions about Swedish fish and Swedish pancakes. I'm also really excited to let you guys know that if you haven't already noticed in the last few episodes, you can now watch these interviews as well, because Tasty Trails Travel Pod is now on YouTube. The channel is Tasty Trails Travel, which has podcast episodes, and those are definitely more fun to watch, in my opinion, as well as some other content about various themes surrounding responsible and sustainable travel and some travel blogs. I had gotten away from YouTube for a while, but I have some exciting stuff coming up over the next few months, including some travel and some just like personal projects that are related to travel. So make sure to head over there, Tasty Trails Travel, and subscribe because it's going to be jam-packed with a ton of cool stuff for both food and travel that you're not going to want to miss. So anyway, let's go. Hey, Håkan, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, nice to meet you.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here. Can you start off by telling everybody who you are, what you do, and where you're from?
Well, my name is Håkan Thörnström. I live in Sweden, Gothenburg, the second biggest city in Sweden, and I'm a chef. I have been a chef for at least 38 years.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So how did you get into food and cooking? Like, where does your love of that come from?
I would blame my grandmother and my mother for that. I think I had a luxury to grow up in a house. We had a nice garden, and all around the year, my mother and my grandmother worked with what the garden gave us, and also in combination with the nearness to the ocean. There were always like fresh fish and seafood when it was in the right season, of course. And on my summer holidays away from school, I stayed at my grandmother and grandfather's house up the coast. I will say every morning at 9 o'clock, I wake up with the smell of freshly baked cakes or biscuits or bread and so on. So, well, I got used to that.
Yeah, that's pretty nice.
Yeah, it could be worse.
Yeah. That's amazing to have that, to be surrounded by that. And then you just kind of grew up and you're like, well, I think I want to continue to be surrounded by that.
Yeah, but I would say without knowing it, that inspired me naturally with picking up cooking as an occupation and well, lifestyle, I would say as well.
Well, and don't you focus a lot on fresh ingredients and farm to table and sustainability and like things like that in your food and style?
Yes, and I would say it has come naturally because you work with what's available in the season, and I enjoy to use fresh ingredients. And of course, ingredients could be freshly imported all around the year from somewhere around the globe, but I prefer to work with the locally produced ingredients, and it's a constant work to find all those small producers. I prefer the small personal interaction with the producers and fishermen, farmers, and so on. Beekeepers, you could buy honey, of course, but it's more interesting to buy from a small producer that has a very limited amount of what they are selling.
Yeah, that's incredible. How do you find your vendors? Like, how do you go about finding those small places?
Well, of course, over the years I worked up good contacts. Like I have this. He's called Alexander. He's from Poland. He always picks mushrooms when it's in the season for that, and delivers directly to the restaurant and so on. And we meet like during September, October, and then I don't see him for a whole year until the next September, you could say.
Yeah.
I do have a long list with persons and telephone numbers to get hold of all those separate ingredients.
Yeah. Well, I was going to talk about this later, but I guess we're on it now. Like, I kind of feel like new Nordic has been like trending as like a type of cuisine. But to me, what it sounds like is sort of this like farm to table sustainable stuff. And I mean, I guess it's good that we're using that and going back to that. But like, in your opinion, is that new, or is that mostly just kind of going back to like the roots of what food kind of used to be? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I suppose this was the way how to work many years ago as well. But I would say there is a lot of colleagues that doesn't put all this time and effort to search for all those ingredients because it's a quite demanding job to find it. And I mean, if I have a day off, I can spend it walking in the forest, and well, you always find something you can eat
Yeah,
or
yeah,
birds
yeah.
you can use in the cooking.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I imagine it inspires a lot of creativity since you're using what you have to work with. So you're kind of always having to change stuff around to work with the ingredients that you have. Yeah.
Yes, I mean, the guest that I serve my food has been, they have another kind of tolerance for, they don't just want to have a turbot fillet. I can cook any fish with a certain amount of belongings and so on. It doesn't have to be on their demand. This is what I cook today, and I mean, take it or leave it. There are other restaurants.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love that though. I love that. And so as far as like Swedish food goes in general, I think probably people are, familiar with like Swedish meatballs and things like that. Maybe pickled herring, I don't know. But what are maybe some lesser known Swedish dishes that people internationally aren't as aware of?
Well, I mean, you have this like marinated salmon, gravlax, that we have done for ages. But I think in general, the Nordic or the Swedish, the Nordic cuisine is very clean and fresh. We don't use that amount of spiciness in the food. I would say it's very clean, and if you serve a leek, you will taste the leek. We build up the flavors to that. I mean, if I do a spinach soup, I don't flavor that with coriander or something. It's a spinach soup with a poached egg. That's it. And
So very like ingredient forward.
yes, I when I write the menu, the main ingredients, I don't want to dress them with other stuff that tastes more than the main ingredients. Of course, I use salt and pepper, but I can leave black pepper or white pepper and use horseradish instead. So when I put together a course, I really try to question myself, is this ingredients really necessary to the course? Or I try to take away as much as possible to make it as clean as possible.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
think so. In that sense, I would say like Nordic Swedish cooking is performed by me or with a lot of colleagues, very skilled colleagues. Of course, we have the same thinking, so we don't try to overload the plate with a lot of stuff, and we try to keep it as clean as possible.
It's a very like simple, and you really let the ingredient shine and speak for
Mm,
itself.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I mean, like in my point of view, if you go for desserts, I don't like to make them very heavy, and they could be heavy in fat, but not in sweetness. So I prefer the acidity to perform in the desserts because I think it's a much more modern way to cook. And also adding what will you drink to a dessert. It doesn't have to be a really heavy sweet wine. It could be a semi-sweet wine or well, just about anything that doesn't stay that sweet. So I try to be quite low in sweetness in everything I do in desserts, and go for the to let the acidity perform and make it really fresh.
Yeah, yeah. Would you say in general, Swedes, do they have a big sweet tooth or not really?
Well, I I do like sweets, but I think in general, if you go to a bakery or pastry shop, we go for like cinnamon buns and stuff like that, not with a lot of sugar in. We often do like Swedish fika with cinnamon buns, and
Okay.
they are
Oh,
not that
nice.
sweet actually. They are more well, it could be that the filling is of course with butter, cinnamon, and cardamom, but not that heavy with the sugar.
Have you ever had Cinnabon in the US? Those giant
Yeah,
Cinnabons with
yeah,
the
they are too big.
yeah.
Well, I think guests also in general nowadays are looking for more healthier food as well, and we all know white sugar. That's not the best for you actually. So of course you have to add some sweetness to it, but
Yeah,
mm,
yeah, yeah. This is like a random question. I'm just remembering now. So, like, when I was in high school and like my childhood, we would eat these really delicious, like, kind of gummy candies they're called Swedish fish. Uh,
mhm.
did we just like invent that and they were like, oh, we're gonna call it Swedish because it sounds cool, or like is that like that kind of candy? Do you know like do you have that in Sweden?
Yes, we do. We I've written a lot of it, and you have Swedish candy stores like in New York City, and people are standing in for hours to get into the store for buying all those small pieces of colorful candy.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Is that like a tradition that is in Sweden, or it's just like something that you have and it's
yes.
kind of been taken internationally and blown up more than
No,
where it is in
I
Sweden?
think I have grown up with that. So every Saturday afternoon, off to the store and buy a small paper bag with mixed candy. And I
Oh,
still
okay.
do. I still do that actually.
Okay. I will say I don't really like gummy candy that much, or really at all. But I loved Swedish fish. I could eat bags and bags and bags of that. They were
Yeah.
really good.
We also like licorice. I remember once I were in Aspen in Colorado doing a dinner a couple of years ago, and the dessert was. I did this because I would to add some kind of Swedishness to the dessert. So I did a raspberry mousse with a licorice sauce and like a crisp. I don't remember exactly, but it was raspberry and licorice in combination. Um, Not all of the US guests were happy with that, especially the licorice.
Yeah, licorice in the US, licorice is a taste that you love it or you
Mm.
hate it.
Yeah. So I have that in mind for whenever I do another dinner in the United States. Don't go for licorice. I will choose something else.
That's funny. Um,
Mint maybe.
oh yeah, yes, yeah, mint's very popular.
Mm.
The city that I grew up in is known for having lots of like Swedish descendants.
Uh-huh.
And the most famous breakfast place in my city, I mean, it's a very small city, but it's called Stockholm Inn. And so like every Sunday, like people would go there after special occasions or after just like weekend things. Like that was kind of the place to be is Stockholm Inn. And it's decorated with the is it a called a Dala, the Swedish horses and
The
the
dollar has the
uh-huh.
dollar horse. Yes, yes.
Yeah, like the menu had all of that, so very in your face Swedish stuff, and Swedish pancakes were like the big popular thing to get there,
Yeah.
and so I was so excited to go to Sweden, and then I went to Sweden and I like didn't find them. Did I do a bad
No,
job, or is that just like not a big thing in Sweden, or
it's a
what
bit
happened?
well. I would say it's a big thing, but you do it at home. You don't get it at the restaurant for a dessert.
Oh.
We do a yellow pea soup on Thursdays, and in combination, I mean the dessert to the yellow pea soup is always pancakes, Swedish pancakes, only on Thursdays on restaurants for lunch hours.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. So, but actually, I've never actually seen that, like Swedish pancakes with whipped cream and jam and so on a menu, on a la carte menu on a restaurant. Well, since it's popular, it's a good idea to put it up on the menu and try it
Yeah.
out.
Okay, good. I feel better because I was like, am I doing something wrong? Like, why can't I find this anywhere?
Yeah.
And I was a little bummed.
But I mean, to back home here, I have 3 daughters with my wife, and those ladies, they love pancakes, of course, and they do get it at least once a week. But we
Oh,
do
yeah?
it at home.
Okay. Okay. And I mean, so you had mentioned the restaurant was kind of like as a dessert thing. Would people eat that as just like their full breakfast? Like that would kind of be the only thing that they ate for breakfast, or no?
Well, we have it. I would say when it happens, it will be on the weekends,
Yeah.
Sunday for breakfast, or maybe you could have it as a between dinner snack. We serve it in the afternoon, and so it's not actually for breakfast, I would say, but well, if you stay long in the bed on Sunday morning, of course, you could go for
Anything's
it
breakfast.
at
Yeah.
11 a.m. Well, the breakfast hour has gone over to like a brunch hour or whatever. So for brunch, it's good.
Oh, that's funny. Do Swedes usually like to have sweet or salty breakfast?
For me, it's more to the salty side, like oatmeal porridge. What do you call it? Sour milk with yeah, milk, fresh bread, of course, with cheese and stuff. I'm not that good at the main thing for me for breakfast is coffee.
Okay.
Yeah, I think coffee is. I can speak for myself, but I think in general Swedish people. I think per capita in the Nordic countries, Finland is per capita the biggest consumer of coffee in the world,
Okay. Oh.
and
Oh.
I will say I try to make Sweden be on the top
You're
because
doing your part.
yeah, I
Yeah.
doing my part of it. I drink a lot of coffee. I actually been refused more coffee in a restaurant in New York City. We were many years ago at Per Se, Thomas Keller's restaurant in New York. And after my third double espresso,
Oh my
uh,
God.
yeah, the sommelier or the waiter said that, sir, we won't serve you more coffee because it's not good for you. Your heart can pop out of your chest. Something. So, okay, could you give me a brandy or something instead? Yeah, we can. No, but no more coffee.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
Yeah, that's quite funny.
Oh, that's so funny. Wow, that's wow, good for you. That's a lot of yeah, that's I can't believe you're not like bouncing off the walls after all that.
Well, I constantly, when I'm at work, I have to have coffee, of course, with some milk into it because it's too warm to drink freshly brewed coffee in a big cup, and I drink it during the day as I kind of overconsume it. I know that, but it's I'm kind of addicted to it,
Yeah, you think.
unfortunately.
So is there a big like coffee culture in Sweden where it's kind of like I don't know, like Turkey or Italy or I don't know, there's kind of different kinds of culture surrounding coffee drinking. In Sweden, would you say there is something
Yes, I
there is its own
think
coffee
there
culture?
are a lot of what do you call it? Not coffee shops, but
Like roasteries or whatever that
yes, or a kind of a diner or a easier going place. but you always sit down. You don't do like in Italy, you take a small double espresso and you take off at once. You go out, sit down, have a cinnamon bunny with a coffee or a semla, a Swedish pastry, and you can sit down for hours and have the coffee. And you always get, what do you call it? They always top up the coffee. If you buy a cup of coffee,
like
it's
free
included.
refills?
Yes. And
Oh, that's nice.
we Swedish people take care of that moment, I think.
Yeah, so it's very savored. It's kind of like a savory part of your morning.
Yeah.
So in English, people use the word smörgåsbord as kind of ubiquitously to just mean like a lot of variety. But what is an actual smörgåsbord like?
Well, the peak of Smörgåsbord, I would say, is our Christmas table, the buffet for that we serve in Sweden. You do it partly in Denmark as well, but you don't do it in Finland and Norway, Iceland. They don't have that phenomena. We serve the Christmas buffet every year, and we serve during the period in the end of November to December. We have like 4,000 guests during that period in our small restaurant. So
Wow.
it's heavily booked. Well, it's already fully booked because people are really into eating this kind of smorgasbord. But that's the Christmas table. It's so much food. It's crazy. It's like not normal. You could say it's a 6-course menu at least. You take a new plate for each section, and there are kind of 6 sections in the table for the buffet.
So it's just like it's a huge table that is sectioned off with
Yeah,
different kinds of
you
food.
start with cold fish, the section with cold fish, marinated herring, and all kinds of. I would say we have at least 20 different flavors of the herring, and then we have the salmon and we have the eel. It's heavily red listed, but we do a small thing with eel as well. And you have pâtés and some seafood variations and so on. And then you go to the cold meat, liver pâtés, dry aged meat, thin slices, a lot of smoked sausages, etc., etc. Salted baked ham, and then you have the warm section. It's with meatballs, of course, ribs of pork glazed with all those ginger Christmas flavors for us. And after that, you go for the cheese section, and then you have the sweet section with a lot of stuff. But that table, if you take that in smaller versions, we serve it on Easter, we serve it on Midsummer, you have harvest festivals and so on. So it's almost the same on each time of the year, but you could say for it's a bit funny. You pick a yellow tablecloth for Easter, and a red one for Christmas, and a green one for Midsummer.
Yeah. So it sounds like it's for celebrations.
Yes, but it's a lot of specialties that has developed in generations, of course. And it's also a big variation where in Sweden you eat it. You could eat smörgåsbord in the northern part, and then you will have Vendensro, of course, deer in different kind of presentations and so on. Here on the west coast of Sweden, for sure, a lot more from the sea.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that
But
makes sense.
then you have all those standard thing that you will see on the table. So every time it's on the Easter table, on the Midsummer table, always meatballs. and the herring is also quite important as well on every time of the year.
Okay, yeah, awesome. And I did actually want to ask you about Midsummer because it just sounds like such a fun celebration. Can you explain what that is?
Well, we serve the herring and the fresh potatoes are very important, and some sour cream to that. And since we are in the beer and vodka delta, you could say in
Yeah.
Sweden, we don't
I
produce
saw a
that.
map of Europe that
Yeah.
was talking about that. Yeah, it's
So
funny.
for lunch we have the herring and so on, and we do have a lot of aquavit to that. And the kids, well, they can have something else, no alcohol, but there are a lot of alcohol involved in the midsummer dinner events in Sweden.
So what is Midsummer celebrating?
Well, that's a good question. I would say it's like entering the summer, and everybody are having flowers in their hair, and we dance around the midsummer pole. I think it's connected to the Vikings. It's actually a big fallow symbol, the midsummer pole. What do you call it? In Swedish, fruktbarhet, fertility,
Oh.
because the nature has woken up, and the fertility of the nature, the human being, and so on. So, and well, it eases up a lot with alcohol, I think. So people are quite happy, and it's crazy, crazy. I have had friends here from also from United States spending midsummer festivity with us, and they were like, "What is happening?" They are acting like crazy. Yeah. So, but it's good fun.
And that's like July or
The 20th of July. June, not July,
oh,
June.
June. Ah, okay, 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 okay. So it coincides kind of with I guess the mid threw me off. I was thinking like the middle of the summer. But it coincides with like the kind of the moon cycles and like the technical beginning of actual summer.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's connected to that as well. Yeah.
Okay, because that's like when that starts is like around June
Mm.
20-ish. That's so fun. Is it one day or is it like a whole weekend thing or
No,
like
it's
multiple days?
only one evening.
Ah, okay.
The day after, everybody is quite tired. I think I would
Yeah.
say.
Yeah, a little hungover and
Yeah, 100% hungover. Otherwise, you haven't done it properly.
yeah. And is there any sort of specific Swedish alcohol, or like you said, you're kind of in the beer vodka?
No, we don't drink vodka. It's more like aquavit.
I don't. What is
Uh,
that?
Aquavit is you have it in Norway. Finland doesn't use aquavit; they drink vodka, and in Denmark you have aquavit. It's flavored with dill, fennel, and a lot of stuff. So
Oh,
it's like 40 proof. It's the same strongness in vodka, but it's flavored
is it
with
clear?
yeah, it's clear. It looks like very, very pale whiskey.
Oh,
It's not barrel stored, and there are a big range of different variations of the flavoring of the aquavit.
and are you drinking that straight, or can you make cocktails and stuff with that too?
You can do cocktails, but on Midsummer Eve we drink it as
Yes.
shots.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Oh, that's so fun.
when you start a party and have the herring and stuff, I would say within 15 minutes, everybody is singing and dancing and have a good time. And then you just have to level out and well, don't overdo it with the strong alcohol.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, that's so fun. That's really fun. And I saw that you did something with Wisconsin food.
Yeah.
I didn't get to watch anything. So I went to school in Madison, Wisconsin. So
hmm
Wisconsin like holds a very special place in my heart. So I was just curious about that. What did you guys do together, and how
Well,
was it?
due to friends from Aspen, I was invited to Bootleggers Lodge in Tomahawk in Wisconsin to do 2 evenings with a Nordic Swedish menu for just a like dinner event. And I put up the menu with Swedish cooking methods, but we used only local ingredients from Wisconsin. I would say the time of the year, the cycle is the same as here in Gothenburg. So I remember I was there could it be in the beginning of the summer? So fresh ransom, for example, were available, and fresh morels, top morels, the small one. So more or less everything I have an idea of how to cook were available in fresh ingredients back there.
What were the specific like Swedish cooking methods that you used? Or like what are some Swedish cooking methods, I guess?
Well, in general, I put together the menu in the way of thinking, as I have told you, try to clean up the courses, don't add anything extra just for the looks of it. It has to be included in the course, and the taste of the ingredients that you use has to work out with the other ingredients, and it shouldn't just be there for the good looks of it. So that's in general how I put together the menu. We did a 5 or 7 course menu, and the starter was I don't remember exactly, but we did have aquavit, and I sang a song for all the guests
no way.
before the dinner, and we served 6 centiliter. You don't have the metric system, but 6 centiliter would be, well, an oversized shot, you could say.
Okay, so a little over an ounce. Okay. Yeah.
A big one. And
Did people like
so
it?
yeah, it was normally you should serve it slightly cold, but now I served it directly from the freezer.
Room temp. Okay.
No, the ice cold, so it's you don't actually
Get as much taste.
no, the taste goes down, of course, but you don't notice the high
Alcohol content?
alcohol. So, well, I sang to the group, and we had a shot together, and I gave it like 6-7 minutes, and then the party was going on.
And Scanis do like to drink. They're super fun.
Yeah. Yeah, and the people were really happy with the food and so on, and I'm also a sommelier, so I
Oh, cool.
picked up references for the wine pairing and so on.
Amazing.
So,
That's so cool.
but it is one thing that I've been lucky to take part of is all my years as a chef in Sweden nationally has been invited to other countries all around the world to do Swedish food, like in Wisconsin. I've been in New York, in Aspen, in Chicago, in Asia, in Singapore, and it has taken me all around the world. And for many years, hard work, long hours, and so on, this is the payoff for all those years grinding in the restaurant here in Sweden, in Gothenburg, in the kitchen, to experience all those other cultures, meetings, and take part of other cultures, ingredients, and so on, in quite remote from where I'm located here in Gothenburg. So it's so fun to see and watch and learn all those things that you can see when you are over the Atlantic or the other way to Asia and so on. It's fun.
Yeah, that's really incredible. And I mean, part of the reason this podcast started is because I feel like you can get to know people through their food, and just, it's such a good gateway, and you can learn so much about a culture and a country and stuff.
Yeah.
So that's amazing that that you've had the opportunities, or that you've also created the opportunities for yourself through your hard work and stuff to be able to do that.
And I mean, all the hard work, we have closed that restaurant now, but our main restaurant, due to the COVID pandemic, we closed that restaurant after 24 years. We had a star in the Michelin guide, and etc., etc. It's quite fun to remain. People from the outside still consider me as a Michelin-Star chef, and well, that's up to them. But it's always fun to, or it's always good for me to well, people ask me, well, what's your experience and what have you done over the years? Well, I've been running a Michelin-Star restaurant for many years, and we closed that due to the COVID. I've done the Nobel Prize dinner twice, for example. So
Wow.
it's really fun to see people react like you did now, because it's really a door opener when you are in United States, for instance, because everybody knows about the Nobel Prize dinner in Sweden, in Stockholm. So I've been in charge of that dinner twice.
Wow.
If they ask me again, I will say no, because it's a lot of work and you get crazy in the end, because the preparations is more than a year in advance for
Wow.
doing the dinner, with a lot of lobbying and discussions on what to put up on the menu and this and that, and there are so many people involved, and everybody wants a part of the organization to do the dinner. So
Oh my gosh.
it drains you of energy, I would say, but in the end, it's really fun to have done it, and I mean, it's a big dinner, but the location and the circumstances, it puts a few layers on top of the dinner, I would say. So it's fun. 1,350 guests.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so it's a big group of people that you will serve.
Oh my God. That is nuts. That's
Yeah,
nuts.
and
That's very impressive.
the city hall in Stockholm, it's actually built for maximum 850, I've heard. But so they
Oh,
squeeze
geez.
in people like crazy, and there is a long waiting list. So the only thing you know is it will always be 1,350 guests, no more, because they have squeezed in so many. Normally it should be not made for more than 850, but it's
Holy
very,
cow.
yeah, it's a fun thing to have done.
Yeah, that's definitely an experience. And I mean, also not bad to have on your resume either.
No, since it worked out fine. If it had been a
Yeah,
disaster,
true.
food poisoning, or you name it, I would buy a single ticket to Argentina or something and then never show up again.
We'd be happy to have you here.
Yeah, it's well, I'm still in the business.
Uh,
Mm.
well, yeah, that's amazing. Do you have any travel tips for people coming to Sweden? Like, it doesn't have to be food related, but something that people might not find on Google. That's like an insider tip.
Well, if you go here to Gothenburg, you should go to Marstrand. It's an island north from Gothenburg. It has a big fortress on the island and really good restaurants. And it's very unique environment up there. But all along the coast, you have all those. Back in the days, it was a small fishing village, and of course, it has developed. It's not that big fishing industry, but it's very picturesque and beautiful environment. And well, restaurants, you do find them all along the coast. Some are not that good, but most of them are keep up with a good standard and work with local fishermen and so on. So if you go to Gothenburg, for sure you have to eat fresh fish and seafood. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
in Stockholm, well, it's the same, but it's on the other side of Sweden, on the east coast. So there you have really good restaurants, of course, and it's a very beautiful city as well.
Those are great suggestions. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate you coming to chat on your day off. There's one question that I like to ask everybody before they go, and that is,
Yeah.
what would your last meal be?
I have this course. Actually, it's I would say it's an Italian course, but we have done it. We have converted into a Swedish course. It's spaghetti bolognese.
Nice.
I think
Very
it's really good, and I'm not shy to say that I add some ketchup to it because, well, it's very convenient food, and if you cook it well, I can have that more than 3 days in a week, no problem.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. I love that. Yeah, it is very like hearty and comforting. That's a very good choice. So how can people find you, connect with you, eat your food, get to know more about you?
Me and my wife, we run a restaurant here in Gothenburg called Private Room. It's located in the center of Gothenburg, and we do have our website. It's thornstroms.nu.
I'll link everything in the description as well, so people can find it easily. Thank you so much. This has been so much fun. And again, yeah, I appreciate you taking the time. If this episode made you hungry for more, you can watch our full conversation on YouTube. Just head to Tasty Trails Travel, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment to let us know what you enjoyed most. If you have a foodie friend, know someone who's heading to Scandinavia sometime soon, or anybody who loves Nordic culture and cuisine, make sure to share this episode with them. Otherwise, I'll see you next week. Bye. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe to the newsletter for exclusive travel tips, recipes, and insider info on all the destinations that we cover. Sign up using the link in the show notes or on the website to keep exploring the world together. See you next time. Bye.